here we go. BC Racing BR Series coilovers, and oh my God, they look so good. Thank you so much to RHD Performance and BC Racing for making this happen. All right, so I got a hold of Thierry, the owner of RHD Performance, a while back, and I said, dude, I want BC Racing coilovers because they're supposed to be super quality coilovers at a good price, and they are fully customizable. That's exactly what we did. As you see on the box there, it says custom made coilovers. Now, this BR series, you can go ahead and just buy off the shelf, put it on your car, done, no problem. But I actually went in and had them customize the spring rates for me. So as most of you know, this is the full-on track car for me, so I want some stiffer spring rates, stiffer than the average street kit. So the fronts, I have 14 kilograms, and the rears, which are these ones, are 12 kilogram springs. Definitely stiffer than the street setup. Those street setups are typically like 10 kilograms in the front and 5 kilograms in the rear. So, man, I cannot wait to experience this thing out on track. And then what's so cool about picking the spring rate is BC Racing goes in and matches the valving to match the spring. So it's not like you're just taking a standard street kit and throwing some super heavy duty springs on it, and then, you know, you're gonna wear out the valve super quick. You're gonna wear out the piston in this thing. BC Racing customizes these so that your spring rate matches the damper. And actually, BC Racing threw in a really nice surprise. They went ahead and did the upgraded Swift springs for me. I didn't even ask for that, but man, super cool. Thank you so much to Thierry from RHD Performance and Tim from BC Racing for helping me get this done. Let's put these things on the car. So I am gonna be getting the coilovers all done in this one video here. But as it sits right now, I am still waiting on some coil wheel bearings. So I'm gonna actually start on the rears for the beginning of this video. So let's go ahead and jack the rear of the car out. Okay, so here's the new one. There's the old, 26-year-old and busted. And that's everything old, all in there. The disc swap was done actually before I bought the car. So yeah, there's the new, there's the old. Gonna be pretty dramatic. So as you guys can see, everything is stock in there as well. But as far as the camber arms, hello! We got some new hard race pieces thanks to RHD Performance. I'm going to be installing those today. And I've got some new toe arms here also from Hard Race, which I won't be putting in today, but we'll be doing it at a different time. And then I have a new rear trailing arm bushing coming as well. But obviously for today, we're going to worry about the coilover and the camber arm. Now all we need to do is go ahead and get that 14mm bolt there, and then put an open end wrench on the 19mm back here. And then we can go ahead and loosen that lower bolt. Then we need to come up into the cabin. Thankfully mine's already stripped out, and we need to work on them bolts up there, and that'll drop the whole coilover assembly. And with that guy out, I'm gonna go ahead and lower that lower control arm bolt there as well, and then we'll drop that whole piece, and then we'll go ahead and work on the top and be able to pull that thing out. Okay, so we're all free there. Let's go work up top. We do have stickers for sale too, guys. Check the link below in the description. All right, and these guys are a couple 14mm up here as well. And with it out of there, hello. Pretty different, huh? BC Racing says that there is a minimum 2-inch drop when you go ahead and use the BR series coilovers. And obviously I've lined them up side by side here to demonstrate that. I don't think I'm going to do any adjustments as far as the rings there. I'm probably going to leave it as is, put it in, and see how it fits. You know, I know some guys probably be like, dude, like, go low, what are you doing? Like, this is my race car, I don't want it like slammed on the floor, you know? I definitely want a respectable ride height, you know, lower the altitude of this thing, but I definitely need some clearance for my wheels. I'm running nice meaty 225 tires here, and I need to make sure that I'm not gonna be rubbing out there. I don't think I would, you know, these things are pretty stiff, definitely compared to the stock, but let's just go ahead and put them in, see how they fit. And so another thing I'm going ahead and doing here is just making sure that everything is tight. BC Racing says to make sure that the spring did not come loose during transportation, and if it did, you need to go ahead and tighten down the spring seat. And then these locking collars here. You want to make sure that they are tight, they are not moving. And these are the tools that BC Racing provides you to go ahead and deal with that. And also just when you're going ahead and adjusting your ride height, you could take these little metal clips right here, you lock them into place, and then you can turn these rings, break them free, and then go ahead and spin the ring. But thankfully, everything on mine came awesome. Everything is tight, spring seats, the locking collars, they're all good. Ready to go in, man. What I actually want to go ahead and do now is go ahead and take care of our rear camber kit here. Let's go ahead and pull that stock piece out and get it ready for this nice new hard race piece. These are just 14 millimeters here, 1, 2 on the body, and then 3 here. We'll go ahead and pull that out, and then we'll compare it to this nice new hard race piece. The gun only broke it free, then it got stuck. So I'm stuck doing this like a sucker. Whew. Old, crusty, 26 years old, next to the new hotness. Okay, looking awesome, man. So we've got this camber kit here ready to get lined up, and we've got the jack underneath the part of the lower control arm there. You see we still got a ways to get to the coilover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jack this up into place and just get this guy lined up. I'm going to run the bolt through it, but I'm not going to tighten it down fully. I'm just going to place it there. Then we'll go ahead and continue preloading everything, and then I'll go ahead and do the bolt for the coilover. And then, we'll be able to preload all our bushings with the lower control arm and the camber kit, kind of getting the weight off of this jack stand. So the car just kind of putting its weight on there, and then we'll tighten stuff down. All right, and with that guy kind of just holding place there right now, continue jacking this thing up. We're gonna go ahead and put that bolt through. One thing that I noticed here on the stock coilover is it has this kind of threaded piece welded onto the shock body. The BC Racing ones don't, so they provide you with these nice new threaded pieces, and it looks like a locking piece there that we'll go ahead and thread in on the inside here. Okay, so that bolt is kind of run through, and then you see on the other side we got that locking gold nut there. We've got the camber kit up in place, and you see it's not fully bolted down here yet for this bushing, but of course the top of the coilover is fully bolted down. And then of course the lower control arm part that connects to the subframe, we still got to bolt that down. So what I'm going to do is continue jacking this thing up, getting the weight of the car off of this jack stand. Now you see how the weight of the car is up off of that stand. That is making sure that everything is preloaded up in there as this thing is going to be sitting. Like the weight of the car is on it. So we can go ahead and tighten everything down. All right, so again, you can see the car is supported just by its weight right here on the spring. And that's when I went ahead and tightened everything down. So everything is in its place. Let's go ahead and put the wheel back on, see what this looks like. Yeah, I remember before how much that thing was sagging. It's definitely not now. Let's see how this goes. Okay, you guys, so much for that. I went to put the wheel on, and it won't even clear the fender there, man. So, wow, yeah. It's deceiving how, I guess, it looks sitting there like that, and then once you get it in the car. So I'm going to be using their forks here that BC Racing provided, and we're going to go ahead and thread the shock around and raise it just a bit in the back. So according to the BC Racing instructions, you use this guy. You can take the lower spring seat, which is this top ring right here. The spring sits on it. That's why it's called the lower spring seat. Go ahead and take this wrench and adjust this counterclockwise. So left to right, and that will raise the car. If you had the opposite problem and you wanted to lower it, then you go right to left clockwise, and that would lower the car. It is slow progress, you know, but as I'm turning this thing left to right, again, to raise the car, I'm turning the spring seat here. You know, you see this lower spring come loose. And then you just, when you're done and you find your position, you go ahead and thread that thing down, and then we'll lock that down at the end. But for now, this is where it's at. And so I just got to keep going with that. Okay, so I changed the threads quite a bit, huh? You see how the bottom ring here, you go ahead and put on the bottom. Top ring, go ahead and put up against the spring seat. Now I do need to lock these down, you know, using this wrench, but for right now, I'm not going to, because I don't know if it's going to change. Let's go ahead and try to put the wheel and tire on. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! This is looking good. Oh my God. Yeah, I know it's not totally dumped, you know, some of you guys probably like, dude, what are you doing? But like I said, this is a race car, man. So that to me is looking right about right. Holy hell. Come on. This is so awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my two little wrenches here, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that coilover is tightened down. While I am there, I'm going to use the tape measure and go ahead and measure the threads. You see, look at that. That thing is so much more dumped than what that was. So I'm going to measure the threads on that one and match it up to this. That way I know when I put this guy in on the other side, it's just going to match up. Alright, you guys, so this is actually an update from the other side, which applies to both sides, of course. I have the car jacked up and is supporting the weight on that guy right there, compressing everything. I got the torque wrench set to 40 foot-pound, and that's what you want to do for the subframe bolt there, and then the bolt that connects the coilover to the lower control arm. 40 foot-pound, and then up in here, 40 foot-pound on the camber arm, the end here, and then the part that connects to the body, those are 29 foot-pound. All right, you guys, so I'm picking this up the next weekend. This is the weekend before you all are seeing this, and I was just over at my buddy Dusan's house, and he was helping me put in these new wheel bearings. Obviously, you can't really see them in there, but yeah, new wheel bearings in there. Thanks to RHD Performance for awesome coil wheel bearings. And then I also got some new rear wheel bearings, which we'll be doing at a different time, okay? But so for now, this guy is back together, and yeah, I know that would have been a good time to do a new hub and new wheel studs and everything. That's something I'm gonna be doing at a different time. I feel like this hub is just fine, and these studs look just fine to me as well. Yeah, it'd be nice to have all brand new pieces on here, but it would also be really nice to like get this arm powder coated and stuff, and yeah, a different time, okay? Let's go ahead and work on putting the fronts back together now. All right, and if you all remember, I got my new hard race front camber arms here. Again, thanks to RHD Performance, I picked those up from them. And then I also have these new inner and outer hard race tie rods, also from RHD Performance. You guys can pick up all these parts from them through their website. Check out their link below. Did y'all notice I put the headlights back in too? But so here we go, BC Racing BR Series coilover for the front. 14 kilogram Swift springs on the front of these things. They look so good, man. Oh my God, so awesome. So what I'm gonna do actually is go ahead and loosen up this camber arm. I wanna thank Honda Jack for telling me about this. You know, you don't wanna have this thing stiff like I have it right now. I wanna take this old coilover out. We'll go ahead and loosen this up, make it flexible, and then we want to preload everything again. just like we did at the rear, we want to make sure to preload everything, and then we'll go ahead and tighten everything down correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up, and we're going to take out the stock shock. So I got my 14 millimeter loaded up here, and we're going to go ahead and start with these two. You see how it drops pretty good, but we need it to drop more. So obviously I got my 17 millimeter here on this side already, and I need the 17 on the impact gun for this side. And then we'll go ahead and lower the fork, and that'll lower the whole assembly. Okay, so that bolt is out, and you'll see I left these bolts just kind of dangling up at the top so that the whole thing wouldn't drop. And you see here, we got a pretty good gap between the bottom of where this guy is and where the fork sits. So I'm going to take this 14 millimeter out, and we're going to see how deep that's going to sit in there. Pretty sure it's going to butt all the way up to here. So we're going to have a good, 2-3 inches there. May have to go ahead and lengthen this guy a little bit. Okay, so I got the fork on here, and I went ahead and adjusted the threads, probably another 3/4 of an inch. I went and raised it. We'll see how that goes. And then I got this guy loosened up. It's really easy to loosen up once the coilover's not in there, of course. You just hold a wrench on the outside and then ratchet the inside. When the coilover is in there, I'm gonna have to use wrenches, like the open end wrenches on both sides to tighten it, but it should be fine. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put that guy back up on in there. Okay, and we're looking pretty awesome. Love the colors, looking great. So now I gotta take my new spindle here, load it up with the new wheel bearing, new lower ball joint, and we're gonna go ahead and put it back together. All right, and so here's what we're looking like with the spindle back on. Now, I know no one wants to see this, but I'm gonna be putting my old brake rotor back on there right now. And don't worry, it's just a placeholder, okay? I've got new rotors coming, but yeah, that's just gonna be the placeholder for right now. So I got the new castle nuts here and the cotter pins. I'm gonna go ahead and put just a little bit of anti-seize around these threads just because they're brand new and why not? And then I won't tighten them down fully, but we'll get everything set. We'll go ahead and put the brake rotor on, put everything up, and start tightening everything down. Okay, so I got the brake rotor and disc back on, and yeah, I know, it looks ugly. Like I said, I got a new rotor coming, chill out. But so everything is just loosely put together right now. The brake line is not sitting exactly how I would like it to, but I want to make sure that the coilover is going to stay in this position before I mess with that at all. What I would really like to do is route this line around the back side of this so it's not touching the coilover. So I'll address that later, but I want to go ahead and put everything up to ride height, tighten it down as it should be, and then we'll go ahead and stick the wheel on this thing and see how it's going to sit. All right, and so I've got this thing preloaded here. You see the weight of the car is off the jack stand here. And so that means it's all being supported by the shock and all that. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down the camber arm here and then all these connections. The inner outer tie rod, the upper part of the spindle, and then of course those camber arms. Also the lower control arm bolt and the lower ball joint, castle nut. And there we are. Everything is still up, loaded up, and we got it all tightened down. Camber arm, outer tie rod, lower ball joint, and the lower control arm bolt. And of course the coilover is nice and locked. And then of course the axle nut. So we definitely have more of a gap at the front at the minute, but I'm gonna wait and see, when it's on the ground, and then I'll go ahead and make any adjustments I need to make then. It's definitely more weight in the front of the car, so let's see how it sits when it hits the ground. Would you look at that, man? Oh my God, it looks so good. Look at that, man. It's even as low as the EK now. Oh my God, I love it. So, yeah, it looks so good. Okay, so obviously this is the first time it's hit the ground, okay? I measured both sides of the coilovers so that they are the same, and it's gone down. This is where it's landed. I really like the way it looks, but you know, I gotta make sure that I can get out there and do the turns and not be scraping and, you know, rubbing the fenders and all. Of course, this thing needs an alignment very bad. You know, with all those new parts, everything's still kind of, you know, not exactly perfect. So I would definitely have the alignment guy dial in some front camber, obviously get the rear going. I have specs in mind of what I want to use, and then we would kind of see how it's sitting. And I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but these are adjustable coilovers. Up at the top, you see how it says soft and hard. You can go ahead and do different clicks, and that will stiffen or soften the ride. Now you can do this on all four corners. You guys, what a massive thank you I have to say to RHD Performance. Please go check them out. They carry all the BC Racing parts, all the hard race parts, everything that I have on my car you can get as well. And of course they have a ton more. Bunch of aftermarket parts that you can pick from at great prices, and they ship them quick. Terry, I'm talking to you right now, man. Thank you so much. Sincerely, dude. Like, you know, we message through Instagram a lot, and that's great. I wish I could speak to you face to face more, man. This is so massive for this project, and you know, all of the help, all of the support that you have given me on this car and just helping me get these parts and get them quick, dude, I appreciate it so much, man. And a very big thank you to Tim at BC Racing for doing this deal with RHD Performance and Refined Movement. I hope you all will go check out BC Racing's website. There's a link below in the description. You can check out all the different coilovers they make, super quality products at honestly a fair price. I cannot wait to test these things out on track. Tim, BC Racing, thank you guys so much. So as I mentioned, there's still a lot to come with this car. You know, this is the very first time it's hit the ground like this with its new coilovers. And let me tell you, man, I know how stiff it is already. Just by pushing down on the sides, you know, it doesn't move a whole lot. Remember, 14 kilogram springs up front, 12 kilogram springs in the rear. The stocks, who knows? And they were 26 years old. I mean, there was some serious give to those springs. So, golly, I cannot wait to drive this thing. We still got a couple more things to do before I'm going to be firing it up and driving it around. And, you know, like I said, once we do have it going, the ride height may change. It may adjust a little bit, and of course then I have to go get an alignment and get all that specs, and of course you guys will be coming on that journey. So I sincerely appreciate you all watching. Thank you so much. Talk to you in the comments.